Imagine this: you're sitting across from her at dinner. The candles flicker, the wine tastes sharp, and the conversation is a roller coaster. One moment, she's laughing at something you said like you're the most fascinating man alive. The next, her expression darkens over some tiny comment, and suddenly the air feels heavy. Your stomach flips. Your brain goes into overdrive, trying to figure out what just happened. And when she finally softens again, when she touches your hand, when she smiles, it feels like the sun breaking through a storm. That rush, that relief, feels intoxicating. And if you're honest, it feels like love. But it's not. It's a chemical trap. What you're experiencing in those moments is dopamine at war with your sense of peace. Drama creates spikes and crashes in your brain chemistry. The tension, the conflict, the unpredictability, it keeps you hooked. Like a gambler waiting for the next win. Every time she pulls away and then gives you back a piece of warmth, your brain lights up. It doesn't feel like manipulation, it feels like passion. But the truth is, what you're feeling isn't closeness. It's a cycle of withdrawal and reward. It's the same mechanism that makes slot machines addictive. Some women know exactly how to use this. They pull back, get cold, or start a fight. Then later they flood you with affection again, and you confuse that cycle with deep connection, because the highs feel higher after the lows. But ask yourself, are you actually building trust? Or are you chasing the relief of her validation? That's the trap. Drama doesn't deepen love, it deepens dependence. Here's the brutal part: as long as you keep rewarding that cycle with your attention, you're teaching her that drama works on you. You're telling her, yes, push me away, I'll come chasing. Yes, punish me with silence. I'll panic and fight for your attention. And once she learns you'll play that role, the game never ends. The fights get louder, the reconciliations get sweeter, and you start to crave the pain just to feel the relief. That's why men stay in toxic relationships long after the respect has died. They're not addicted to her. They're addicted to the chemical roller coaster she controls. If you've ever found yourself checking your phone every 2 minutes after she storms off, or replaying the argument in your head trying to find the right words to fix it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That obsession isn't love. It's your nervous system on edge, waiting for the reward of her forgiveness. And here's the strategy shift you need. You break the cycle by refusing to chase. When she withdraws, do not scramble to pull her back. When she throws silence at you, match it with calm. When she uses tears or anger to bait you into reassuring her, don't fold just to end the discomfort. You think you're keeping the peace, but what you're really doing is paying her for creating chaos. If she sees that her drama makes you more attentive, she'll never stop. But if she learns that her drama makes you colder, calmer, and less available, the incentive disappears. That's the tactical move in difference over investment. Not loud, not cruel, not dramatic, just steady. If she wants to scream, let her scream into silence. If she wants to disappear for hours, don't chase the absence. The second you stop rewarding the highs and lows, the power of the cycle breaks. It will feel uncomfortable at first, because your brain is wired to crave the relief. But when you sit with that discomfort without caving, something changes. You realize you don't need her storm to feel whole. You start to see the game for what it is. And here's the most dangerous realization for her once you're no longer hooked on drama. You become unpredictable. She can't control you with silence or chaos anymore, and the man she thought she had wrapped around her finger suddenly feels untouchable. That's when the dynamic shifts. That's when you either reclaim your peace in the same relationship, or you finally see it for what it is and walk away. So let me ask you, Have you ever recognized yourself in this exact situation? What happened next? Which one of these toxic behaviors have you faced before? Be specific in the comments. What's the hardest part of walking away when you know she's manipulating you? You start to notice the pattern once you've lived it enough times. It always begins with a spark, a sudden tension that feels electric. Maybe she criticizes you in a way that cuts deeper than it should. Maybe she flirts a little too boldly with another guy right in front of you. Maybe she vanishes into silence after an argument, leaving you stewing, and your chest tightens, your pulse quickens, because you know you're about to go through the cycle again. Anger, confusion, panic, then relief. You hate it, but you crave it. That's the trap you keep falling into. The truth is, drama becomes a substitute for intimacy. Real intimacy is steady, calm, and often quiet. It builds over time. There are no fireworks every second, no emotional cliffhangers. And because many men mistake chaos for passion, they abandon stability the moment it feels boring. You're conditioned by movies, songs, and toxic past experiences to believe that love has to be extreme to be real. So when a woman pulls you into cycles of jealousy, tears, and reconciliations, it feels like a movie scene. You mistake adrenaline for affection. But here's the cost: your self-respect erodes slowly every time you chase after her when she storms off. You teach yourself that your peace doesn't matter. Every time you over-explain to calm her down, you teach yourself that her emotions are more important than your boundaries. And every time you let her manipulate you into proving your love, you reinforce her power over you. That's why you can't sleep after a fight. That's why you feel guilty even when you've done nothing wrong. That's why you're exhausted but unable to let go. This is where the tactical clarity has to kick in. You need to recognize the cues before you're pulled into the storm. A sudden withdrawal of affection, that's a test. Do you chase or do you stay still? An outburst over something trivial, that's bait. Do you fight back or do you remain calm? A flirty comment to trigger jealousy, that's control. Do you fold or do you hold your ground? Each moment is an opportunity to either fuel the cycle or starve it. The strategy is deceptively simple. You stop reacting with desperation. You cut the fuel supply. That means when she withdraws, you don't go knocking on her emotional door. When she lashes out, you don't raise your voice or scramble to justify yourself. When she uses silence, you don't break it first just to ease your discomfort. You train yourself to sit in the tension without giving her what she wants, proof that you're hooked. Men who master this become unshakable. Imagine she storms out of the room, expecting you to follow. Instead, you pour yourself a drink, turn on music, and let the night pass. Imagine she accuses you of not caring enough, expecting a flood of reassurance. Instead, you calmly state what you've already shown and refuse to beg. Imagine she goes cold, expecting you to crumble. Instead, you remain composed, and her silence starts to lose its power. That's when the game breaks. But let's be clear, this isn't about being heartless. It's about discipline. It's about refusing to reward behavior that corrodes your peace. If she genuinely wants to resolve conflict, you meet her halfway. But if she wants to create chaos to pull you into her orbit, you deny the bait. And when you deny the bait long enough, one of two things happens. She adapts to a healthier dynamic, or she realizes she can't control you and leaves. Either way, you win, because your self-respect remains intact. The hardest part is the withdrawal. You'll feel the urge to text, to apologize, to break the silence, because your brain is used to the dopamine spike of reconciliation. But that urge is the very proof of the trap. If you can survive the quiet without caving, you'll discover something men rarely get to feel in toxic relationships: freedom. Freedom from the cycle. freedom from her approval, freedom from the emotional roulette that used to run your life. And when you reach that point, something strange happens. What used to feel like love starts to look like chaos. What used to excite you now just feels childish. You stop craving her storms, and you start craving your own calm. That's the point when you've broken the spell. That's when you stop mistaking drama for love. So let me ask you, have you ever mistaken jealousy or fights for passion? Did you tell yourself it meant she cared more? When was the last time you broke the silence first, just to stop feeling anxious? And if you didn't, how did she react when you refused to play the game? There's a reason men fall for the same pattern again and again. It's not because you're weak. It's because your brain has been trained like a lab rat pressing a lever for a hit of sugar. The tension builds. You ache for resolution. And when it comes even in the form of a half-hearted hug or a rushed "I love you," you feel relief so strong it blinds you to the damage. You think the storm proves her passion, when really it proves your dependence. And the more you confuse chaos with connection, the more you surrender control of your own mind. Think about the last time she went cold on you. Maybe she stopped texting back for hours. Or maybe she gave you that icy tone over something small. You felt the panic rising. You asked yourself what you did wrong. You crafted the perfect message to pull her back in. Or you gave her a gift to soften the blow. But notice the pattern. The more anxious you felt, the more power she held. That is not love. That is conditioning. She didn't need to chain you. You chained yourself to her reactions. Here's the psychological truth most men don't want to face. If she can control your emotions with drama, she controls the relationship. And if she controls the relationship, you're no longer her equal, you're her subject. She decides when you feel joy, when you feel guilt, when you feel panic, when you feel relief. That imbalance is why you feel drained. You're not in a partnership. You're in a system where your nervous system is her toy. Now, the shift comes when you understand the real price of this game. It's not just your peace, it's your masculine edge. Every time you fold to her chaos, you lose the very thing she was drawn to in the first place, your groundedness. Women may enjoy creating storms, but deep down, they respect men who don't get swept away. If you become the man who dances to every dramatic note she plays, she'll eventually despise you. She may keep you, but she won't respect you. And without respect, love becomes nothing more than control. So how do you break free? You don't fight the storm. You don't scream louder, beg harder, or explain longer. You starve it. You learn to sit in discomfort like a man who doesn't need her calm to feel whole. That's the real test. Can you handle her silence without losing your mind? Can you let her accusations hang in the air without scrambling to defend yourself? Can you watch her throw sparks without rushing to put out the fire? If you can, you win back control. Here's the tactical play the next time she withdraws. You don't chase. If she tries to bait you into a fight, you don't bite. If she tests you with jealousy, you don't flinch. Instead, you keep living. You go to the gym. You meet your friends. You stay focused on your mission. You show, by your actions, that her chaos has no hold on your center. This isn't about punishing her, it's about training yourself. Because once you prove to yourself that you don't need her validation to feel strong, her games stop working. And here's what's ironic: when the games stop working, she has a choice. Either she levels up into real intimacy, or she leaves in search of someone easier to control. Either outcome is good for you, because if she stays, she's forced to engage with you on steady ground. And if she leaves, you've dodged a life of emotional slavery. That's the masculine frame choosing peace over chaos, even if it costs you her presence. You'll be tempted to relapse. You'll feel the itch to send the long text, to break the silence, to prove your love after she slams the door. That's the addiction speaking. But every time you resist, you weaken the hold drama has on you. Every time you stay calm in the storm, you grow stronger. Every time you refuse to reward her chaos, you reclaim your dignity. And dignity is the one thing no woman can take from a man unless he gives it away. So let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like your peace depended entirely on her mood? Did you ever notice how much of your life revolved around avoiding her anger or chasing her affection? And if you stopped playing the game tomorrow, if you refused to feed the drama, what would that reveal about the relationship you're in? Here's the part that stings the most deep down. You've known all along that drama isn't love. You felt it in those quiet nights after another explosive fight, lying awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering why the moments of peace feel so rare. You felt it in the pit of your stomach when she walked away mid-argument, leaving you begging yourself not to chase. You felt it when her apology kiss didn't feel like love. It felt like a drug hit, sweet, numbing, temporary. That's when it should have clicked. But you stayed, because part of you feared the silence more than the chaos. Drama thrives on your fear of losing her. It hooks into that boyish panic that whispers, if she leaves, you'll be alone. And so you chase, you appease, you explain, you buy gifts, you bend your boundaries just to keep her happy. But here's the truth, the more you sacrifice to avoid her storm, the more storms she creates. Why? Because she sees you will always pay the ransom. That's how control is built, not with force, but with your fear. The psychological trap is powerful because it doesn't feel like control. It feels like passion. You tell yourself, we fight because we care. You tell yourself, it's just how we love, intense. You even laugh about it with friends, calling it a fiery relationship. But deep down, you're not proud. You're drained. You're embarrassed at how much power her moods hold over you. You're angry at yourself for folding again. That quiet shame is proof that you know the difference between love and addiction. So here's the tactical break. You stop fearing the silence. You teach yourself that her withdrawal, her tantrums, her chaos, none of it can touch you unless you hand her the keys. The silence that once felt unbearable. You use it to breathe, to think, to remember your mission. The tantrum that once made you rush to reassure, you let it burn itself out while you stay grounded. The chaos that once kept you hooked, you meet it with indifference so steady it dies in your presence. This isn't about punishing her, it's about training yourself to stop responding like a dog to the bell. If she disappears for hours, don't spiral. If she throws accusations, don't get dragged into defending every detail. If she tries to guilt you with tears, don't rush to fix what isn't yours to fix. You stay still. You stay calm. You stay focused on the man you are becoming, not the boy who flinches at the thought of being abandoned. And something powerful happens when you do this. The storms lose their beauty. What once felt like fire now just looks like smoke. What once thrilled you now just feels childish. And she feels it too. The moment she realizes you no longer dance to her chaos, her grip slips. That's when the dynamic flips. She either steps up into a calmer, healthier rhythm with you, or she tries harder to break you. But by then, you've already won. Because once you've tasted the strength of your own peace, you'll never hand it away again. Here's what most men don't see. Women don't truly respect the man who always caves. She may keep him around, she may use him, but the man she respects is the one she cannot control. And when you stop confusing drama for love, when you stop paying for chaos with your energy, you become untouchable. Your presence becomes heavier, calmer, sharper. And that's the paradox. The less you react, the more power you hold. So now I'll challenge you. Have you ever looked back on a fight and realized it didn't even matter, but you lost yourself in it anyway? What part of you was she really fighting? Your ego, your fear, or your hunger for her validation? And if you stayed silent the next time she tried to bait you, Could you handle the weight of that silence without breaking? At some point, you realize the truth drama only feels like love when you don't know what love actually is. Real love doesn't take your peace away. Real love doesn't make you feel like you're walking on broken glass, afraid of the next explosion. Real love doesn't demand that you sacrifice your dignity to keep it alive. Drama masquerades as love because it gives you highs that feel intoxicating. But real love is steady, calm, and grounding. And if that sounds boring to you right now, it's only because your nervous system is still addicted to the chaos. Breaking that addiction isn't easy. You'll crave the storm because it distracts you from yourself. You'll miss the adrenaline, the makeups, the dizzying roller coaster of emotions. But look closer. Has any of it actually made you stronger? Has any of it made you more respected? Or has it left you drained, confused, and doubting yourself? The cost of mistaking drama for love is simple. You lose yourself. And once you lose yourself, she doesn't even have to manipulate anymore. You'll do it for her. The only way out is detachment, not coldness, not cruelty detachment. The quiet strength of a man who refuses to let anyone dictate his emotional state. That means when she storms, you don't shake. When she withdraws, you don't chase. When she tests, you don't break. You stand still, because your peace is not for sale. That's the edge every man needs in modern relationships. Not more charm, not more gifts, not more apologies. Steadiness. The kind of steadiness that says, you can spin, but I won't. And here's the paradox she'll never admit: the more detached you are from her drama, the more drawn she becomes to you. Not because you play games, but because you're unmovable. She can't shake you, she can't control you, she can't bend you with tears or anger. And for the first time, she feels something different: respect. That's the currency drama can never buy. Respect is the foundation of true attraction. Without it, you're just a toy in her emotional game. With it, you become the man she either rises to meet or the man she loses forever. But let me leave you with this. Don't fight to change her. Don't fight to change the game. Change yourself. The moment you stop rewarding drama, you start reclaiming your life. And if she can't survive without chaos, let her leave, because the man who protects his peace always wins. In the end, she didn't break you. She revealed what you were too afraid to protect.